Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women, a podcast that provides a platform for women of all walks of life to share their upbringings, life lessons learned, experiences, and journeys to come. Uncommon Women speaks on topics that can relate to all women. We share, we listen, we laugh, we cry, and we empower each other to be the best uncommon woman that they can be. Ultimately, we are cultivating a global movement of women supporting women. Women supporting entrepreneurship, relationships, self-love, and so much more. We inspire each other to make an impact on this world for the better. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Uncommon Women. Now, finally, grab a seat, get comfortable, and hear from your wonderful hosts, Shanira and Jenny Lee. Hi, Queens and Kings. Thank you so much for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanira.
And I'm Jenny Lee. Well, we're having a guest speaker, Twana Lawler. She's going to speak on her story on surviving AIDS. I'm going to read her bio. Twana Lawler is an AIDS survivor and motivational speaker. Her life has gone from tragedy to destiny. She has experienced many trials and tribulations, but hasn't stopped her from giving her message of triumph over adversity. Twana is also a creative screenwriter who has written several movies, God's Precious Jewels, Who Did I Marry, and When a Woman's Fed Up, which are on Amazon Prime. Twana is a playwright, poet, and an author. Her life's passion is to eagerly use her gifts to heal and by sharing her story.
Thank you so much, Twana, for coming out today and being one of our guest speakers to share your story. Before we actually go into your story, I did want to let our viewers know that we are celebrating our 60th episode. So we do have a raffle that's going to be going on. For those that are listening, since we can't do the 60th person, we're going to do the 6th person. So if anyone that would like to contribute, we are giving away a free gift bag. For the 6th person that tells us your favorite episode and why from season 1, 2, or 3. So we'll be giving a raffle away from that. We also wanted to let you know if you guys have any questions or concerns for Twana in regards to her story, go ahead and comment in the box below, and then we'll be able to get into those questions after she shares her story. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to hear your story today. Is there anything that you wanted to add before we go into your surviving story?
No.
Okay. And before we go into that, can you tell us a little bit about your life? How was it growing up?
The child, everything was fine. Because, my mom, my dad were together. I have 3 brothers. I'm the oldest out of 4. We had the same father. And our father spoiled us. He spoiled us, and he kept us on the right track. He was third, and he would pray, and he was out to the skating ring every Saturday. Take us out of town on road trip, and us to see the Globe Trotters, and wrestling. And I'm the only girl, so I would go. I wanted to go because it was my dad, and I would like to hang out with my dad. Sadly, he was head chef at Holiday Inn, and he got laid off, and he got depressed, and his business went out of at a small restaurant. They went out of business, and he got depressed, and my mother left with her, and she moved in a new guy. I could not stand. I'll be honest, because he wasn't my daddy. He wasn't my daddy, and it just threw me because I didn't know the man. He was a stranger to me. I wanted to go back home to my dad, and my brothers, they wanted to go back. We went back and talked to our dad, and he was crying. He was on his knees talking about how much he loved us, and he was excited about us coming back. He didn't wait. So I told him, and I was 12 years old, I told him we had to wait and talk to her and let her know that we wanted to come back home. And she worked second shift, so it was hard. We were at school, she'd be at work, and back then she'd get off, we'd be on the weekend, but he couldn't wait. He ended up killing himself, and I was devastated. Yeah, so after that happened, my life spiraled downhill. Did that's part of my childhood. So my childhood went so quick. Did after that, I really didn't have a childhood. After 12, then I became defined. I just want to live with my mother. I was missing my dad. We wasn't able to mourn properly. We couldn't bring him up or anything. So, and it was hurting me. It really was hurting me. So I got pregnant on purpose. Because I knew my mother would let me leave. Go, didn't want to live in that house. And I truly didn't trust that man. He was listening up at my door at night. And I was 12, but I was built like a 18-year-old. And you were not about to touch me. I wanted out of there. Yeah, so I got pregnant. I was 14. I had my oldest daughter when I was 15. And then met her dad. That's why I got pregnant by her father. And then we got married when I was 16. He was like 18 or 19. We ended up having another child, and he started abusing me. He didn't want me to go to school. He started locking me in the house. And the thing about it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. He would literally take the phones, because this was like in the 70s, like 75 or something, around 76. He'd take the phones off the wall and wrap the cord around them. I work with him so I couldn't call anybody. He would do that every single day. And, I would be home like, well, what's wrong? And I would be locked in the house. Like he would set glass where he could tell if I looked out. He didn't want me to look out the window. I was like a prisoner in my own home with 2 babies. And so one day he put me down. He was standing upstairs. We were in a townhouse. I was standing upstairs. He was in my face, just arguing with me for no reason. Something about food or something. It was something stupid. He pushed me, and I fell down these flight of stairs, and I thought he was going to come pick me up. And my 2 daughters were sitting on the couch, and they were toddlers, and they were crying for me. They kept crying and saying, "Mama, Mama." He ran down the stairs and started picking me with steel-toe boots on. And that was the last time he ever hit me. When he went to work the next day, I called my mom, and I said, "I'm ready to go." She was so happy. She got a U-Haul truck. She came and got me. And I moved out, but I didn't go back to my mom's house because I was not going back. When I went to one of my friend's house, I met at the skating ring when my dad was taking me all the time. I met this guy, but that guy was no good. He claimed that like they always do. He was a good man. He just was no good, and he got out of there and really rescued me from danger. And he could have killed me. He dropped out of high school and everything. He just pretty much wanted to run my life, and he just wanted to control me and wanted to be just in his house cooking and doing nothing. Can't go outside and sit in the but take kids to the park. He do nothing unless he was with me. Then he would take me over to his grandmother's house, babysit me. That's how I was living. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What was the transition in regards to after you had your 2 daughters to, finding out or, how it all came about in regards to you having HIV?
Well, that happened many years later.
Okay.
Went through a whole lot of other stuff.
Okay. Did you want to share that in regards to before you got to that part? Okay,
yes,
go ahead. Take your time. I went through a
whole lot of stuff. I got the second guy.
Okay.
Walked in the room one day. His mother let me move up in her apartment until I got a place. So I stayed in her apartment because she moved in with her boyfriend. And I walked in one of the rooms one day looking for this guy. He was in the room with a needle in his arm. Now, I'm naive. I didn't know people put needles in their arm drugs. So I wasn't raised around that. So he said, get out, and called me the B word. He said, get out. And I left out. And I didn't understand why. So upset, he came out of the room. He started beating me. And I was pregnant with his child. He started beating me. He was mad. And that's when I found out it was him and one of his cousins. And that's when I found out he was doing drugs. Then I ended up finding a place. He ended up moving in. Let him move in with me. He was fighting me every day. Every single day. When he sit there and said, I'm not going to do you like your husband did you. Wasn't my ex-husband then at that time. He was like, I'm not going to do you like It worked. He was still. I would go to work and come back, and I was going to work and going to school. He was doing nothing. I come back one day, and my color TV was gone. I was like, "Where's
Oh, wow.
my?" He said, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." He said, "We'll find out." And I called the police, and the police came and asked him because the police had a feeling he had something to do with it. He done sold it to the drug dealer. So the police said, "Take me where the TV is." They got my TV back. The drug dealer came and rushed in my house, ran past me with a rifle in his hand, and ran upstairs in the mouth and knocked one of his teeth out. Was going to kill him because he called the police. I had the police. I called the police, and he showed the police where they live. I didn't know where he lived. I wanted my TV back up. I cared less. To do whatever he wanted to him because he had no business taking my television out of there. He didn't pay for that. And then they didn't stop. I bought a car, and I was standing outside. He asked me, could he use it to go to the store? So he's supposed to went to the store. He comes walking up the street, and I'm like, why is he walking up the street? Where's the car? He tells me that the car was impounded. So I said, well, I'm going to call because you were get my car out of the impound, but this guy, a gay guy, called me. A gay guy, he was messing with it. I didn't even know. I mean, they was messing around. I didn't even know it. And he said he sold my car for some dollars. I was like, what is dollars? And he said it was drugs. Sold my car for some drugs. Yes. After that, just didn't want to be with him. Like I didn't want him touching me, but he still lived with me. He lived with me because my ex-husband was letting my daughters go stay with him. So then, remember I said I was pregnant by this second guy. So
right.
That's when I had the third daughter. So I had my third daughter, and I asked my in-laws, could they keep I was still married, and I asked them, could they keep my two daughters for a couple of days while I healed from having the baby? They said, yeah, they was happy to get them. On the second day, I'm missing them, so I'm ready for them to come home. So I walked all the way a block of snow. It was a lot of snow. It was in January. A phone booth on the corner. Called, see when they was bringing them home. She said, BITCH. She didn't spell it. She said the word and said, you're never going to see your kids again. I felt to call her one back. That's when I used to cuss like a sailor. So I called her one back. And I was ready to fight her. Because I fought her. See, I was totally different. I'm different now. I was a fighter and everything because I had to fight my way. Like, certain things like dealing with them guys, I had to fight back. In school, I had to fight girls jealous thinking I want their boyfriends. And I'm not even looking at their boyfriends. And I always had to fight all the time. So I fought the girl. I fought her. She said I stole her brush. So I said, I'm going to come over there, and I didn't have a car at that time. So I said, I'm going to find a way over there and kick your behind. She said, no, you ain't going to do nothing. And she was talking all this mess. I said, I'm going to call the police. She said, call the police. The police ain't going to do nothing. So I called the police. The police said, I'm married. Ain't nothing we can do. So CPS got involved. CPS said I was on drugs. I ain't never did a drug in my life. That I was on drugs. They just lied and said I was doing this and prostituting. I ain't never done any of that. Now I was just so hurt that they did me like that. And they didn't get to see my kids, but I fought, and I got permanent custody. But my kids, people end up being crackheads. For real. They're not even alive now. All the ones that were sitting across me in the courthouse. If I would have left my kids with them, they would have been messed up. But each one of them are dead. Each one of them died like to each other. The girls were real bad drug addicts. They became real bad drug addicts. But I ended up getting my daughters back, and then I was like, happy. Then other stuff started happening. And I'm telling you, when I got the disease, I was like, Lord, how much more can I take? Because it was like, I felt like a punching bag. Put a punching bag that in the day had an area in it. Punching it comes back up. That's how it
comes back up.
Yeah. It was like I was getting punched, but I get back up, and I start living my life, and there's something that boom, here comes something else that happened to me. Like that guy playing in my house asleep. And I wake up, somebody has me pinned down, raping me. I didn't even know the guy. I was terrified, and I felt so disgusted. Just didn't say anything, and people ask me all the time, and I hate when people ask me 50 million questions about it. I don't want to talk about it. There's something I don't want to bring up unless I bring it up. Some people say, well, what you do? Why you didn't call the police? Have you been in that situation before? You know, where I lived at was in the project. I wasn't from the projects. I wasn't raised in the projects. I didn't even know what projects was until I had to move in one. And the reason I moved in one, I didn't want to go back home to my mom. I didn't trust her boyfriend. And I had these daughters now, so definitely he wasn't going to be around my daughters. He was a pervert. He was a pervert for real. So I didn't call the police because, project people, they family. They would have all ganged me. And so I just put a secret and held it in for years.
Wow.
But I became an alcoholic. Started drinking. I was 21 years old. I never had a beer or cigarette. And my friends, they were drinking and stuff. They had peer pressure. And I started drinking. I thought beer was the most disgusting thing ever. I started drinking and didn't start drinking heavy then, but I was drinking and going out and stuff I wasn't doing at first. Just going out and partying, trying to erase that out of my mind. And then years later, I was dating this guy, and I told him I had to use the bathroom. He told me go use the bathroom. When I came back, I was drinking a beer. Getting sleep. It was him and his friend. And the friend kept trying to talk to me, kept trying to hit on me, and I was like, no, I'm telling him I'm not like that. So I'm drinking the beer, and all of a sudden I started getting busy and sleepy.
Wow,
I told him I started getting sleepy. Yeah, they drugged me. I went to the bathroom, and when he said, "Take your clothes off," I'll be back there and just take your clothes off. I didn't take my clothes off because I was so tired, so I just laid on the bed. I wakes up. He's behind me having sex, and the guy is trying to put his penis in my mouth. I remember smacking it away. I'm not talking about this. Didn't talk about this one for a long time. I didn't tell my daughters that one, but I told them about the first one. And I waited till they got older. I told them about their dead family kidnapping them, but I waited till they was older where they understood. I told them about the stuff I went through. They know everything I went through. So kept it to myself because I didn't really remember. I knew something. I kept having these flashbacks. So flashbacks are real. I kept having these flashbacks and couldn't understand the flashback. What I just told you all, that's what I kept having. I didn't remember how I started, how they got my clothes off, how I got home. I didn't how I got there. I don't remember none of that, and still don't remember it. I'm not gonna ask God to show me, because it could be something that could really, really, really hurt me. So I said, I'm done. I've been to therapy. I'm done with that. And then the guy that had a stroke, he walking on the cane. The karma is, you know what? So you don't mess with God's out there.
That's
you
right.
Just don't do that. Yeah. And at that point, I wasn't even born again Christian, but God was still with me because many times I could have been dead, many times, and rapes and everything, but nobody hurt me like that. So just been through so much. I had a son. The son before he died. And I didn't want more babies anyway, but I didn't want my baby to die. Wow. He died in my womb. While I was covering my daughter's hair. I felt a real joke, like a hole. My body just, it was weird. And my stomach, and I told my daughter, I said, something's wrong. And I called her doctor. He said, go to the hospital, the ultrasound. They said the baby's dead and he's out of it. It was a little boy. I would have had a boy. It would have been my only boy. I didn't want no more kids. So I named him Twana. I love him. I pray for him. I know he's in heaven and he's fine. But he wasn't ready. I had too many kids. I was like 21 with 3 kids. So, and divorce. Now I'm going through a divorce and all that, going through all this stuff. I didn't want any more kids. Remember I said I got 4. But I had that young one. Young one, she'll be 31 until you'll be 34. She's 10 years younger than my oldest daughter. So I had her years later, and when they told me I probably couldn't have no kids because I had a tubal pregnancy after the baby who died, and they said you ain't can't have no, and both them pregnancies I didn't want. So I'm just being not caring, and I only came from what I seen, and I didn't realize this until I got older. My father was cheating on my mom, and I knew it. He was cheating with the babysitter. I knew it. She got pregnant, and she stopped coming, and one of my cousins, she was a girl, she molested me when I was 11 years old. I knew all this stuff, and I knew all this. I was like, not 11. I was like 10. I knew all this stuff inside of me that I was holding had something to do with why I was choosing allowing these guys like that, abusive and drug addicts, to come to my life because of what I had been through. My mother left my husband for another man. All this stuff I've been through, not normal. Truly wasn't. And I told my daughter the other day, I said, I always lived my daddy on high because I was his girl. I was his only daughter. He
Daddy's
spoiled me.
girl.
Yeah, I was daddy's girl. He's called me baby girl. He gave me whatever I wanted, so I always lifted him up on high. And I got to share this story real quick because I share it to everybody all the time. He asked me one Christmas. I was 10. I was like, might have been like 11. He said, what do you want for Christmas? I said, movie projector because I want to make home movies, sewing machine because I want to make clothes. So he got it for me. He would give me whatever I wanted. He was amazed at how my mind worked all the time because young age, that's the type of things I wanted. I ain't say bakes and all that. I ain't gratifying. I didn't want that. I wanted something I can learn. So he brings me, the movie projector. Not one of the movie you hold. This is like 75, 70, 76, 1975, 76. I wanted the one that you hold. I wanted to make movies of my brothers. I wanted to write it and do all of that. He bought me one he bought the screen now, the screen with the big old screen, but he bought me one with the reel, the tape. I was so disappointed. I said, I was so mad. He said, girl, what's wrong with you? I said, I did not want that. I said, that's not what I asked for. He said, I don't even know how to work it. Said, well, you better teach yourself. I have to tell people. I always think about that for real. It's one thing is I taught myself how to write movies. I taught myself how to format movies. I taught myself how to format plays. I did my own magazines. I taught myself how to do that.
Awesome.
And a set of bowls. I also what he said. Because of what he said, so he did something good. He planted a seed.
He planted that seed.
Yeah,
he planted a seed. Yeah, he didn't even know it. Just the way he was living.
And you never forget that story. You're never going to forget that story either.
No. A magazine just interviewed me. That's when I brought that story up because I talked about it with my daughters and I talked with some friends and told them the story because there's a lot of stories where the stuff that he would do. I would tell him I love Al Green. I love Al Green. And one day I'm going to marry him. I was like 10 years old talking about I love Al Green. I thought Al Green was the most handsome man back in the day. I thought he was so sexy and them songs. And so one day he worked the Holiday Inn. He was a head chef. And one day came home. He would always bring me and my brother's gifts every day from home. It was like the Cleavers. I'm telling you, he was like a perfect dad. He just wasn't a good husband, but he was a perfect dad. And he would bring us gifts. And he would bring me these expensive purses. But this one day, came home. He said, "Baby girl, I got something for you." He had his hand behind his back, and I said, "What is it?" It was a picture, a green, photographed.
Wow.
Yes, I cried and I loved that picture and I hugged that picture. It was in a frame and everything. And I just love my dad for that. And I would never forget that. Never. No matter what he did, he was a good father. He was to his kids. Yeah, he was. And he did plant a seed. And I know if he was alive, I wouldn't have went that route. And I tell people that I wouldn't have had kids young. I wouldn't have did that. But I don't regret having my daughters. Although they sometimes to make me want to.
Right.
Especially that third one, boy. It's a lot of times I want to choke her. Yeah. He was cussing me out and everything. I'm telling you. I was like, oh my God, what I do with this one? What happened? Because I don't know. She had all them kids and she had them kids young when I said, this is what you're going to go through. I'm telling her from my experience, like, this is what you're going to go through. And she had them kids young. I have raised my kids. I didn't ask nobody to take my kids and I didn't abuse my kids. I raised them. But she raised her for 10 years. That 10 years vacation, when I got sick, that's when the kids went back. Yeah, when they went back because I couldn't take care of them. So I'm going to get the one y'all asked me to. We're going to get to that story when I had the dementia.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, Miss Twana.
I think that's it for about my dad and my childhood. Okay. And then, I had 3 kids by the time I was 21. And I got to finally get that divorce from that monster. I was so happy. I carried that name for a long time, and then I ended up married again. Ugh. What it was like in the 80s, 90s. I think it was like it might have been in the 80s, late 80s. Oh my God, he wasn't nothing but a cheater. He didn't fight me though. He didn't fight me. I fought him because he was a cheater. And I didn't fight him. I just one day he would do crazy stuff like said my daughter stole his wedding ring. I asked him where was the wedding ring. He said, I think your daughter stole it. Now on my daughter. And the found out my daughter didn't even steal it.
Wow.
That was a no, it's a no. Don't you do that. Bring some kids into something. And that's when he was like 1 foot at the door. To find out, I went out to the car and was looking for something. He found a pawn in the car where he done pawned the ring. Because found out he was doing drugs. He was doing drugs too. I didn't even know it.
Wow.
And I thought he was like perfect man at first. But he was a little younger than me. I should have known better. And I loved his mother, but his mother was a drunk. And I was a drunk too then. So I would go down there, do drunks, getting drunk together and cussing and smoking cigarettes. That's how we live. That was, I gave my life to God. I would never do that. I don't even drink now, so I'm glad. But, I loved my mother-in-law. I loved my ex-mother-in-laws. I love them, but the husband part, Then I took my husband back 26 years, back like a couple years ago. I thought he changed and grew up. He didn't. And I said, A lot of that was because when I moved back, I got better from the illness and moved back to Louisville, Kentucky. I got depressed. I kept it to myself. I got depressed again. And so I got depressed because I moved back and didn't live like I lived in California. I had a vehicle in California, lived in the suburbs and everything. Moved back, had to move in with my mama. And she was very religious. And all I heard was praying at your door and all kind of stuff. I'm telling you, everything was about God, because she was really religious. And I'm a Christian. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. So heads about that. And then I got my own place and I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because I wasn't in the right place. I'm in the right place right now, Atlanta. Yeah. Happy now. And I sleep at night. I couldn't sleep at night. I think it's like the memories there. Like all the horrible memories. All the bad stuff happened to me there. Louisville, Kentucky. So, yeah. Any questions?
Go ahead, Jenny.
Turning your life over to God. When you turned your life over to God after 10 years later and finding out you had HIV, how did it make you feel? Any resentment?
Me turning my life over to God. My life to God in 2000. I found out the HIV 2010. So at this point, I'd been a born again Christian. The way I wanted to share that story too. I had a hysterectomy because I had some fibroid tumors. And I had been feeling funny. I had been going to this club with my aunt, and it was like a club. I was still drinking, but I worked for a gas and electric company. I had a good job. I had a nice car. I just not happy. Still, there was all this stuff from the past. I still wasn't happy. The rapes and all this abuse. I was like sick. And it wasn't the disease. I didn't have anything. Then it was the fibroid tumors.
Wow.
So I had to have a hysterectomy. And when I was in my bed, I got out of the hospital. I was in my bed and had a staple. Back when I had my had been open, because people keep saying, "Why? How they do that? Why they put you right there?" They did that because I had already been cut there for when I had a tube pregnancy. They took the tube and ovary out, so the doctor said I'm gonna have to cut back in. That'll be easier. Go back where cut again, where you cut for that, and that's why. So when I got home, I was laying in my bed. I was crying. I was in pain. My daughters came and got my youngest daughter because she was like 14 then. And they came and got her. I'm laying in the bed and I'm crying out to God and saying, please take this pain away, Jesus, please. And I heard a voice. He whispered in my ear and said, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. That pain, and this is the honest God truth, that pain was straight away. I got up out of my bed, walked to my computer, and started writing them poems. That's where them poems come from. Started writing them poems, and every day I was writing poems, every single day, because I started getting happy, and I started feeling happy, and then I had a grandkid. And then that's when I got sad again. That's when I got for real, because I'm like, here we go again. It's cycle, so it was like a cycle. So I'm like, here we go again. So I had to get. It was custody battle all over again. So I had to do this and go through this. But I had to protect the kids. I didn't even want to get them because I knew it was going to be a lot of trouble. My daughter, who's here with me now, she said, "Mama, do it." She said, "Because you're a Christian, you're going to regret it because they're going to make them kids send them everywhere. It might split them up." It was just 4 kids then. My daughter was pregnant with the 5th child. I got them. They came with me, and then instead of her saying, "Thank you, Mama," I was all kind of bees and stuff. I overlooked it because she was my daughter. I still loved her, and I would pray for her. Now we are like 2 peas in a pie.
No.
Yeah. Because I had talked to her this last time, and I told her, like, if I say anything, because she's like, I think her guilt, you gotta watch what you say around her. So I said, if I say anything to offend you, let me know, because I don't mean it, and I will seriously apologize, because I don't want us going through that again. We are good. We should never go through that. What I did for her, she should say, "Mama, thank you." Because there was 2 years of freedom. I had them 4 kids. The CPS called, said they tested my daughter, and she tested positive for drugs. She didn't do the tests and stuff they got to do to get the kids back. So she didn't do that. I had permanent custody of the 4. They said, she's 3 months old. We're going to put her in foster care. And I said, I'll take her. And the lady said, "Bless your heart." That's what she said.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, now she was 3 months old, and I took her. I raised her until she, and me and her are like this. I'm like a second mom. I send the money and everything. She lived with me, and after they came back, she came back and lived with me because we like inseparable. For real, she was like my daughter. I was for real. I daughter did. I really did, and I raised her. She was 10, and her mom. I'm glad they were their mother because that's the right place for them to be. That's the right, and I'm able to be a grandmother. That's what I want to be.
Yes.
And I enjoy being a grandmother more. Mother,
because you can send them back home.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's
exactly.
right. I can agree.
You didn't bring right answer.
Are you baking cookies and then sending them home?
Send them back, give them whatever they want and everything. They be on punishment. They come over. They off their punishment. I say, yeah, I ain't no punishment. What's that? Yeah, don't tell. They tell. Well, my 12-year-old granddaughter, she run her mouth all the time. She calls and tell me all kind of stuff, and I won't tell. Our secrets are our secrets. I won't tell. Me and her real close. That's the youngest daughter's child. And that one, me and her, she was rude to me all the time. California out, even when I was sick, she coming down and lay next to me in the bed, up on my stomach when she was a baby. Up on my stomach was hurting. I didn't even know why my stomach was hurting, when I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I'm gonna get back to that because I want to get to that story at the little trials and tribulations with the disease and up that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a movie one day.
It is.
It's gonna be a movie, a blockbuster. And I want to write it. And I'm going to write it.
You're going to write it. That's right. That's
right.
right.
Too, yeah. I want to be the writer of my own story. But, so when we moved to California, and I was so happy. Got a car and lived in a nice house. I started getting sick. And I'm like, now what? Because I had got my throat started hurting real bad a few days after I was with that guy.
Okay.
So this is 10 years later. So 10 years later, I'm not even thinking about that guy. He's all long gone out of the picture. I'm celibate. So I'm not thinking about no guy. I'm going to church. I'm praising the Lord. Going to DeLong's church in California, not in Atlanta. It was it wasn't his church. The guy was up under him. This guy was a heck of a preacher and teacher. And me and my daughter, we would go all the time. The kids would go to camp, the stuff they had and everything. So, but we stopped going after a while because anyway, we were coming back to Louisville. I was living my life, and my granddaughter was in gymnastics, and I was driving, and I swerved off the, uh, off the road because I felt dizzy.
Oh, wow.
I felt dizzy. And my daughter was like, "Are you okay?" But I was just feeling. It was just hard to explain to them how I was feeling. Then they thought I was exaggerating, and I wasn't. I was like, couldn't understand. My body felt like tons of bricks were sitting on it.
Wow.
So I didn't even go to the gymnastic meetings or anything. My youngest daughter started taking them because I couldn't even get out of the bed. So that's why I went to the doctor again. When we lived in Sacramento. When we lived in Sacramento, I started gaining weight. I didn't know why I was gaining this weight. All of a sudden, I started gaining all this weight, and I was tired all the time. But then we moved to Lake County. That's when I had the real bad stomach pain. I couldn't even walk. And we didn't have a car then, so we had to call a cab and everything, and I couldn't even hardly walk. And they thought it was kidney stone. They gave me some, whatever that is, they give you the orange stuff, makes your urine turn orange or whatever, everything turns orange, your underwear and everything.
Wow.
They gave that to me and then found out it wasn't. So they didn't know what it was, but I ended up moving. Felt like Lake County was too fast. So I wanted to move somewhere that was, like, for these kids, there was more home. And so I moved to Northern California.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I loved it there. That's when I started really, really feeling bad, and went to a doctor, and she said, I was telling her my symptoms, and she said, your symptoms sound like HIV. And I said, I don't know.
From the
said,
symptoms? Wow.
Wow.
From the bad stomach pain that was like here before, the symptoms I was having, everything about me, this illness was different from everybody else. Anybody else, it was like so different. My disease started acting up to exactly 10 years. And I didn't know it could stay in your body for 10 years because I was uneducated about the disease because I didn't think I was going to ever get it. About me being celibate too, I was like, oh, wow. So past that, because then I'm celibate. Yeah, because I was living, I could have got it then. I said, I got past that. But that wasn't true because it was in my body. So with the rash that I got in Louisville, Kentucky, and I thought it was eczema, but it was a symptom. And I started getting these little bumps between my fingers, and it was real bad. It was a symptom, but I didn't know. I'm just thinking this stuff. I would tell people my knees were hurt. So I'm thinking it's a fat that's on my body. I'm gaining all this weight.
Because you did say you gained weight, right?
Yeah, I gained all this weight, so I'm thinking that's what it is. So it was symptoms. It was not happening back to back. They would happen like 1 year, something happened. The stomach pain would last for 2 weeks, and it go and never came back again. That's how it was happening. So when she said my symptoms are like HIV, I thought she was crazy because of doctor. And I said to her, I said, I can't have that. I've been celibate for 10 years. He said, that doesn't matter. So I was still confused because I didn't know you could have it. I symptoms for 10 years. Right. She said, well, can I do a HIV test? And I said, yeah, it's going to come back negative. When I went back the next week, she said, came in that room. She said, it came back positive. I didn't talk anymore. I couldn't talk. She was talking to me. All I could hear is blah, 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 blah. The Charlie Brown lady. And that blah, blah, blah. That's all I was hearing. I was not paying because I was numb. I felt like everything I've done, the writing and stuff, because back then I wrote 3 movies. I wrote the 3 movies and the play. Then, so I was like, all this stuff went out the window. Everything I've done is going to change my life, but I was not mad at God. I was mad at that guy. I was really mad at that guy. I was like pissed at him because I felt like he knew. Because how could he not know? Because I told him he had to have a condom on. He put one on. He had his back towards me. I really didn't want to do it for real. I really didn't want to do it, but he was telling me he loved me. He was a manipulator. I was naive. He was saying, I love you, I want to marry you, and all that. He had been telling me that for almost a year. So that's why I really, I was thinking to myself, I said, well, if you love me, you would have came with a engagement ring. I was thinking that. I should have stuck with it. Oh, My first, and that's why I tell people, your first thought is God's thought. So you
Right.
got to think, when you get that first thought, that's the first you go with. And I never go with that first thought. When I first was like, don't do it. Because I had no desire to do it. I didn't want to do it. I was celibate for almost 3 years then. So I broke my celibacy for that man. That I had that, and I just didn't take my medicine. I was like, I'm just in a deep denial. And my daughter kept saying, "You got it." And now let me take another test. I'm gonna take a home test. A home test. And I took it. They had the little two stripes. One of them was kind of pale. I said, "This is pale." I'm telling you, I was coming with all kind of excuses. But there was no way I had this disease. I said, "No, it's pale." See, I was showing my, this is pale. You know what? It was a fake diagnosis. But it wasn't fake. It wasn't fake. But the denial. And then my mother kept saying, "Don't take the pill. That's the devil." And she was religious. She was like, "Don't take that medicine." And listening to my mom, I didn't take the medicine. And I listened to the devil in my head on this shoulder, and this angel on this shoulder, take that medicine. And the devil said, don't take that medicine because you're going to die. You're going to die anyway. And that's what I was believing. I was believing the negative aspect of that, like I was going to die anyway, and my life was over. And didn't take the pill. And my daughter said, she took me to the doctor one day and said, when I went up, she told me go upstairs and change clothes. And she said she heard a thud. And she said she ran upstairs and I was convulsing and foam was coming out of my mouth. And I had a seizure. When I had that seizure, AIDS, that's when I had AIDS. Been having AIDS, didn't even know it. And it went straight to my brain. It should have killed me right there, and it did not. What it did, it triggered dementia. And so I had AIDS. I was diagnosed with AIDS, dementia, and I was severely depressed with 2 weeks to live. This was in 2014. Yeah.
And your memory seems so vivid now, like for you to be diagnosed with dementia.
Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't think I was going to come. With dementia, they didn't think I was going to come back. They said, my daughter, she'll never write again. She'll never be the same. I came back, I wrote a book. I came back, I wrote a play called Stigmatized. I came back, I started a ministry and everything. I came back full force. And that's why I speak now. I'm not ashamed to share my story because God kept me for a reason. I know He kept me for a reason. Because this is rare to beat this. Because I'm detectable. They'll say HIV. They said, technology, I can't even say it. Anyway, the technical part of it, aspect of it, is it's still AIDS. Because that's what I had. It was AIDS blank. I had HIV, then it turned to the AIDS. So they said, once you diagnose AIDS, you really still diagnose AIDS. So my daughter didn't know that. I had a speaking engagement. And I was telling people because I'm thinking, because I was undetectable, I'm still HIV, but the doctor still say I'm HIV. But I said, well, I was thinking I was still HIV positive and undetectable. He said, no, technically, you're still AIDS. He said, and so my daughters, and they said, we know. They said, we already knew that. And I said, why you ain't tell me? I thought I was going to go into depression again. I said, go. That's what I said. I said, I'm ready to go speak. I'm going to bank on this. I'll write a book. It says, I'll take this disease and turn it around, make what the devil meant to hurt me.
Make good.
I'm going to turn around and do some good. I'm going to share with people, share my story. I'm going to help people. I want to start a program for kids to age out of foster care. I said, thank you, minister. Because you thought you killed me. So thank you. Because I'm alive. I'm alive. Amen. I'm not going anywhere. No, I'm not going anywhere. Then I started having these dreams, y'all. That's what really tripped me out when I was coming out of the sickness. I'm having these dreams. I'm telling my daughter, well, I'm having celebrities. I had a dream about Andre Crouch. I had a dream about Maya Angelou. Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was training me to produce and direct. I was writing for him. That's why I said my dream gonna come true.
That's good. Yes. Speak it into existence. That's amazing.
My dream gonna come true. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, you said you were on your way to gymnastics when you were going through all the symptoms. After
Mm-hmm.
you found out, like, this is real. This is real. Did your family support you? Your family and friends, did they
Oh, yeah.
support you, or did they
Yeah.
treat you any differently in regards to that?
Mm-mm.
How was your relationship with everybody when you were going through, this depression or the resentment of why me, or why this guy did this to me? What were you going through?
Well, my daughters don't tell anybody, because this is when I'm worried about stigma and all that. I said, don't tell anybody, because when I found out, go to the daughter who's staying here, she was a teacher then. I drove to the school, picked her up, and I said, I got something to tell you. And I drove to a park, and that's when I told them, broke down crying, and we both cried and hugged each other. And I said, I got to go home and tell my other two daughters, my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter. I went and told them. We all cried and stuff, and we were all uneducated about the disease. But they didn't tell anybody then. They didn't tell anybody then. When I was dying, that's when they told us. We're in California, so I wasn't mad, because we're in California. If I died, my family in Louisville need to know, like my mom, my brothers. They need to know. Nobody else needs to know, but they need to know.
Just the immediate, right?
Yeah.
Just the immediate family. And then I was ready to tell everybody else. But my daughters, they such a blessing though, because I had to change. The symptoms of AIDS, I had everyone. High fever. You look it up, every symptom. I had it. The high fever, all of that. Every day, 6 o'clock. My temperature would be like 109, 110. I heard my daughter, and we lived in a room house, and I heard my daughter heavy walking through the hallway. When she'll come with a cold ice, cold rag, she'll come and check my temperature. She'll see I'm hot, and every day at the same time. To go turn that air on, I hated that, because I'd be in there freezing. But she'll turn the air on, so my temperature would go down. It was because of the AIDS. I had diarrhea. That's when I lost all that weight. I weighed 98 pounds. I was in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't walk. I left that point. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. They had to change me. They changed diarrhea. Changed my depends.
Wow.
Because I couldn't control my urine, and I couldn't control my bowels. They shower me. They wash my hair. They comb my hair. Put my shoes on. I couldn't tie shoes. I couldn't put on a bra. I couldn't do none of that. I couldn't take care of them kids. Care of those kids. That's why they had to go back to their mom. So I couldn't take care of them. Yeah, I was bedridden. Not for long. God is good.
Yes.
God
and
is
look
good.
at you now. You look amazing. You look amazing.
Sure does.
It was a time. It was a time where I didn't care how I look. I said, I don't care how I look. I got better. I didn't care how I look, because I was still depressed. I was still depressed. I went to my daughter, came in the room one day, my oldest daughter, she said, Mom, one day she came, didn't know I was dying. But, I knew I couldn't walk. I knew I was getting in this little ugly wheelchair, and I didn't like the wheelchair, and I knew people was looking at me all the time, because I weighed 98 pounds, and my hair fell out everywhere. Disease mimics a whole lot of other stuff. For disease like cancer and all that. It mimics a whole lot of stuff. But AIDS is powerful. It's powerful. That's why now that I talk, I tell people, you guys to make sure you take your medicine. So I take my medicine every single day. Every single day. And I'm undetected, and that's what makes you come undetected. But see, I didn't know people could, they got undetected, but you can't pass it and all that. I didn't know that. I learned as I was going. As I was going, and I could educate people on stuff. But my daughters, they was very, very supportive. And then when I came to Louisville, I told my first cousins, and I told my entire family, and my uncles, and I was supportive. Especially my aunt, and she's been passed now. My aunt Jeannie, I love her so life. She passed, but she was the first aunt I told. And my long-time girlfriend, they've been together for some years, they never get married, but she passed too. I told her. She was like, all them, I told her as soon as I got back. And then my uncle gave us a little party when we got back, so I told all the family members then. And so everybody knew. Then I had an event. Like I churches, I started speaking.
Oh.
Yeah, so I started speaking, and I started a ministry, and Don't Die, Stay Alive Ministries, and HIV/AIDS ministry. I wrote a play called Stigmatized, and so my families, they supported me. They all came, and that, so they know what I got. They
That's
see that
awesome.
I'm not an overcome. They say strong. I done been through all this stuff. Uh, Knock it out, and I'm amazed for real. But I know it's nobody but God. I couldn't do
Right.
that by myself.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't do that by
Amen.
myself. The doctors didn't even know. I got to share a story about when I found out. Okay, when I found out I had AIDS, I had that dementia, so I didn't understand what they was telling me. When I started getting better, I walked in the doctor's office. I wasn't wheeled in the doctor's office. I walked in the doctor's office. I put a little weight. He had his back. He was at this little table thing, and his name was Dr. Pizzo. And I said, "Hi, Dr. Pizzo," because I was happy to see him then. Because first when I had dementia, I said I was cussing him out and everything, and I didn't even ever cuss. They said that dementia, I was mean. That's what my daughter said. When you become an old lady, I ain't taking care of you because you already showed us how you gonna be. They said I was mean, and I was mean to the doctor. But he turned around and he looked, because he was looking at my labs or something, and he said, looking, he said, "You undetectable." And I just scared. And then he turned around and looked. He said, "Hold on for a minute." He went back and got the nurse, got the caseworker, got some of the other workers, got everybody he could, and here they come. I'm on this platform, and they hugging me because they said, they said they never had a patient that beat AIDS. The nurse said, my brother had AIDS and he died. They see me, I look good. Now, and I told the doctor a couple of weeks before that I was using the bathroom by myself. I was going to that bathroom and I got tired of wearing them little nasty pins and having
pins.
Yeah. Because now I'm starting to feel it. See, I couldn't feel it when I had dementia. I didn't even know I could be laying in poop and didn't even know it. And so now I'm starting to feel it. That's what he said, my brain, because they said when the disease hit my brain, it shrunk piece of it on the left side. Wow. That's why they thought that it was never going to come back. But it grew back. It grew back. So, God touched me, y'all. He did.
He sure did.
That's awesome. And I can see the glow. I can see the glow inside of you now.
Thank you. I have a spiritual, he's my friend, he's very spiritual. And he told me the other day, he said, 2021 is your year. And I said, why? He said, because you got a glow. He said, even in your voice.
Confirmation.
Look at that.
Yeah, it is.
Confirmation.
Man, he just told me that. And everything he's been telling me, I've been through my daughter, he said, you're going to get your mother. See, he said, when you go to court, you're going to get your mother and you're going to sell that house because I'm supposed to sell my mom's house. But wait until you get your mom because they're going to abuse it if you sell their house because that's what they want. That's what they aim for. They say they're going to, because they're not treating her well. Right. Because that's what my mother had a stroke. I got to share this story. When you think it's to get better, and I moved to Atlanta, I was like, whoo, peace. For once again, peace. I moved away from this horror of Louisville, Kentucky. Sitting on my couch, and I said, something's wrong with my mother, because my mother became my buddy. Not only my mother, but she was my friend. We did everything together. So taking her out to once a month. I started going to her church. I didn't join the church. I would go sometimes. I would go to the women's ministry. Join the women's ministry. I know all her pastors. I know her pastor. I know brothers don't know none of any of them. I know her prayer partners and everything. They know me. Went to plays that one of the ladies' daughters had. I went to dinners they had. I went to their lunches. They know me very well. So I'm sitting home. I'm like, something's wrong with my mom. So I called my mom. She sounded different. So she had found out. I told my daughter, and I was real nervous. And I said, for my daughter to call. And I said, call somebody and tell them to go check on mom. And I got 3 brothers there. They ain't worrying about it. They never checked. So the youngest daughter went and checked on her. She had a stroke. she had after that. She keeps having these mini strokes. And my brother went and got her out of the hospital. That's what's going on now. That's what happened. That had to go through this stuff and get all this paperwork, showing that I'm paying her bills. My brother called Adult Protective Service and said that to stole her money and I'm spending her money. It's a lie. Piece of hell. I would never do that. I'm not that type of person. My brother and his wife owns my mother's house. This is a soap opera, for real. It's a soap opera. But I'm here fighting again. Mm-hmm. And I, you can't tell, but it was wearing me down. It was wearing me down. Like, I just didn't feel like doing nothing. I was crying every day. I miss my mother. He's not letting me talk to my mother or nothing. So yesterday, I don't know, something was going on where my cousin was trying to get in contact. Her aunt, he told her he had company, but he's lying. He's not letting nobody see her. Why? He had company. And so she had company, so my cousin couldn't go see her. You know, nobody, he's not letting her brothers come and see her. He's coming up with excuses about everything. So now I got to go to court the 19th, fight for my mother. I said, here I am going to court again. And it is taking a whole lot on me, but I'm strong. I'm going to win this battle too. And that's what my spiritual friend said. And that's my daughter told me. Daughter said, Mama, I had a dream, because she has these spiritual dreams. She said, I had a dream. She called my mother Hanty. I call her Mom. Her name is Hanty. She said, Hanty was in your bed next to you. I said, that's where she gonna sleep at until we get a house. I said, didn't I sleep with her when we moved back to California? She laughed and yeah. But it was confirmation, because she has spiritual dreams. I'm gonna get my mother. Then my spiritual friend said, you're gonna get your mother. He said, you're gonna sell that house. He said, you're gonna get a bigger house, because I want to get a room for my mother. My mother's almost 80 years old. Ain't no way she'd be going through this. No way. I was agreed. And then my youngest brother, he's on crack. He stole my car. He stole his mom's car. My mother's daughter and I was messed up, and somebody was coming in and out of her house, and the brother who has her don't tell people she's crazy. Why you call your mother crazy to other people? Why would you do that? Now you talking about now y'all acting like y'all love her so much. All three of them. You never called, see how she was doing. You never took her no place. I'm the only one was with her all the time. All the time. We became real close. I'm gonna fight for my mother. It was taking a toll on me. Yesterday, in a few days, I was like, damn. I was down. I was crying, and because I miss my mother. I truly miss her. Yeah. But I'm gonna get my mother.
Well, we declare justice in court, and that we pray that she'll be able to get back to you with your strength to be able to take care of her as well. Definitely.
And I have a granddaughter who was here. She worked at the hospital where my mother was at. She worked at Fraser Rehabilitation where my mother was at. Stroke victim patients. So she knows how to take care of them. My other daughter, she was my caregiver. So we'll take care of her. We'll take care of her. Yeah.
That's amazing. Where does your inspiration come from? You know, with all your trials and tribulations of what you went through, where do you get your inspiration from?
My faith in God. My faith in God is very strong. Very strong. He tell me to jump, I say hi. He told me go to California. He the one told me go to California. I didn't know a soul in California. He know a soul. I had never been to California. I went and I loved it. But I miss California though. But it's too far. It's too far from fun. Or it's too far from church I like. Too far from. There's no movie production. There's nothing there. Not in where I was. Like if you move to LA, but I don't want to go to Hollywood. I don't want to move to Hollywood. No, it's that stuff is kind of demonic. You see, even in Atlanta, it's demonic, and or have to deal with a whole lot of demons. And I don't want to deal with the demons in Hollywood, so I'd rather deal with them here. And but I have stuff in common with. The disease here is high, so once the coronavirus go, I can get some speaking engagements here, and I can start a ministry here. And I have a vision to start a program for kids who age out of foster care. So I'm going to do that. Because I want to help those kids. Because they put them out once they turn 18. They put them out in the streets. They don't care. They ain't getting their money anymore. they'll put them out. So that's my dream to do that, and I want to have it all over the country. So that's about it.
That's awesome. So, can you speak on your accomplishments? Can you share what you've done so far?
Yes. People ask me all the time, how many gifts do you have? But so many I don't count. But like God just put all this stuff in me. I am very grateful. When I was in California, I started doing a lot. So, of course, the poems. I'm a poet. I'm a playwright. Write plays. I wrote a play called Stigmatized. Uh, I had that play called myself being a producer. I didn't know what I was doing, and I did that in Louisville, Kentucky. Write movies. I wrote a movie that it didn't win. It was a semi-finalist in the LA screenwriting contest. Write books. I write children books. I have a series that I'm writing called Castle Hill Gang, and it's about like Castle Hill Gang meet Billy the Bully. And at the back of the book, it has activities for the kids. Invented a set of bows, BOWLS. So once I get money for that, I want to have that manufactured. I know I used to do my own magazine. I was the editor and everything else. My daughter was the photographer. All of this on my website. I see it there here, TwanaLawler.com. It has everything. It has the trailers of the 3 movies that I wrote. And the movies that I wrote, not only they're on DVD, you can order them, but they're on, I just found out, they're on Amazon Prime, but they're also on Tubi TV, TUBI TV. Yes, and it's free on that. So I think the other day, sometimes I go back and I look at my movies because I'm like amazed that I wrote those. Like, even the guy that I wrote them for, he told me, God gave you gifts. He said, don't let nobody prostitute your gifts. So many people have tried. Believe me, for real. Want me write from them for free and all that so they can make money off my work. Nope. No. And I'm glad he told me that. Writing is kind of hard. Like, you want to get out there and you want to be noticed. You want your work to be published. So you'll come with the next first scammer to come. Don't even know they're a scammer. When he planted that seed, I keep my eyes and ears, everything open, because I'm not gonna let nobody take advantage of me. Right. And then I make sure everything is copywritten. I make sure everything is protected. And I don't give out my work to anybody. As they professionals. So
that's awesome.
I think that's pretty much, and I'm a motivational speaker. So. I did my own website.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I did my own website. I don't want nobody to come ask me to do theirs. And I was publishing books. I know how to publish books, but I don't want nobody to ask me that either. I want to concentrate on writing movies right now. Okay. I have done some books. I did did a book for my granddaughter for her birthday. I did my niece. In the process of publishing a book for one of my mother's prayer partners. You all, she's an older lady. Why did she write everything in cursive? She don't understand that is confusing. I can't see cursive. I told her, I said, you don't know how to type. She said, I don't have a computer. I said, oh Lord. Her and my mother, they still back in them days. I said, so now I'm gonna do it for her though. And her book cover is beautiful and she loves it. But when this stuff came up, it's slowing me down because it's messing with my psyche. When my brothers now sending me through, it's all 3 of them. She stole money. That's what they're going around telling people, saying in my name. Better hope I'm pray I don't sue them.
That's awesome.
You freeze, did you?
Jenny Lee, I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was asking her, would she like to share anything else or add anything that she wants to express?
Yes, I would like to tell the audience, if like right now I'm celibate again, it's the best way to be, but it may be hard for some people because I was celibate for a total of 17 years. And then when I told you I went through a depression, I started dating again because I got to tell this real quick. I started dating again and I was not happy. And I would start having a spiritual thing, like every day getting up, listening to spiritual music, looking at G.E. Patterson because I love him on YouTube. His recordings of him. The song came on Don Lawrence and Leandra Johnson, Deliver Me. And that song
I
came
love
on
that
when
song.
she said yes. And when she said all I seem to do is hurt me.
Hurt myself.
Yes. I fell to my knees. And it's the truth. I fell to my knees and repented and told God I'm sorry. Because I don't want to date the same type of people that I used to date. That's what I was doing all over again. Mentally abusive people, alcohol, drunk. I don't want to do that again. And I told him I was sorry. I became celibate again. I left them alone. I cut them out. God told me, he said, what you was doing the same thing that you was doing before you gave your life to me. And that's what I was doing. And I was going down that same road. And I don't want to go down that same road. I do not. Ain't no man worth that. No.
Right.
Yeah. So, and again, heard God's voice again, just like I did the night when he spoke to me and said, everything's going to be, you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. I heard it again. And I don't play when it comes, I hear that and I hear God's voice because it's real. And then I know he's not going to tell me, lead me the wrong direction. And I have not been with nobody. And it's been almost going on a year. I don't talk to them guys. They try me. They done hunt me down on Facebook. I miss you, whatever. You cuss me out. You got drunk, you alcoholic. So what you talk about you miss me? You should have thought about that. We're not equally yoked. That's what I want to be with somebody who we're equally yoked and we got a lot in common and we didn't have anything. I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm not sleeping around anymore. I don't do all that stuff. I don't club hop and I don't do all that. So I'm not going to do it either. So I'm happy with the way I live. So
the purity.
Yes. Exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's check and see if we have any comments from anybody. I think Jenny lost service. We've been having some difficulties with the internet. But she's fine. She's coming back on. All right. We don't have any questions from anyone. Perfect. So we do ask all of our guest speakers. First, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your story. I definitely love the transition in regards to how you can be accountable that you were depressed and that you weren't yourself. And the moment you started writing, you started finding peace. And, the moment you started realizing to change your pain into a purpose is when you started blossoming and God was able to use you. And we thank you for your obedience, for letting him, prosper in your life and use you to be able to share your story and help others. So we love that from you. So thank you so much for coming on. One question we do like to ask our guest speakers is, what makes you uncommon?
Again, like I said, getting that disease in the behind. Something that's hard, is rare. It's hard for people to do, and I was able to do it, but it was God. And I know God kept me here again. I'm going to say it again, for a reason. I'm going to do whatever he wants me to do. Save his people. Many people as I want, as he wants, I'm going to do it. Because there's a lot of people get depressed from that disease. I want to say before I leave, I went to therapy. A lot of people like to go to therapy. I went to therapy. My daughter came and asked me. She thought I was going to say no. I said yes because I knew I needed it. I wanted a Christian therapist, and he was a Christian therapist. And he ended up getting his own practice because he worked for the government. He ended up getting his own practice. We got God and prayed and everything. I loved him. I did.
That's awesome.
I didn't. It helped. Then when I told you I had that spiritual awakening, that helped a lot. That helped a lot because I changed. I really did. And I'm just grateful for God. And I'm just grateful for just him trusting me. His gifts and everything.
That's so powerful.
That's what makes me uncommon. That I went through this disease, and look at me now.
Look at you now,
Yes,
though.
praise
Prospering.
God. Yes.
Yep.
Praise God. Thank you, Twana, for your story. It's amazing. I love how you just kept going and how you fought through, and then just you allow God to guide you and everything. And thank you so much for coming on. I'm happy to have met you, and thank you to our viewers for joining in and listening to Tawana's testimony. I also want to speak on our merchandise and our new apparel. Check out www.uncommonwomen.net. Definitely have to check out our new merchandise. We have some nice hoodies there,
Yeah.
And also, you can follow us and subscribe on YouTube on Uncommon Women Podcast, and also to be a guest speaker. Visit our. You can also visit our website. And this Thursday, we are recording again. Obviously, we gotta love us. And our next episode is on our. It's a guest speaker. She's a mindset coach, and she is going to be speaking on educating on ways to renew our minds, and also giving us where we can turn an I can't into I can.
Yes.
Thank you. And stay uncommon.
Bye.
Bye.